Hello everyone, thanks for coming along to my presentation. My name is Selin Aydin. I'm a research assistant at the research group Software Construction at RWTH Aachen University. I'm going to present our paper, Automated Construction of Continuous Delivery Pipelines from Architecture Models. I hope that by the end of my talk, you will gain a new view on continuous delivery and especially how software architecture can help to improve it. Okay, let's get started with a short recap on continuous delivery. In continuous delivery, we aim to automate development tasks such as building, testing, and releasing. To do that, we define a sequence of activities organized as sub-processes in order to achieve a higher quality, save time, and avoid human errors. It is important to note that continuous delivery models are activity-based process models. In order to construct a delivery process from scratch, there are certain thought processes we have to go through. First, we need to find out which software artifacts we have on hand, how they are organized, and how they can be evolved to deployable systems. This knowledge is defined in the software architecture, so we need to have architectural knowledge. Next, we need to know which activities are needed in order to build a certain artifact. This requires knowledge about the target platform technologies and programming languages, of course. So deep technical knowledge is also required. Finally, we have to define an execution order of the delivery activities and the resulting delivery sub-processes. Additionally, we need to consider organizational constraints, like mandatory security analysis. Thus, the required process-related knowledge is also high. The way or the effort required to obtain these knowledges differs significantly. While architectural information can be extracted from software architecture documents, the process and technical knowledge can only be acquired by training and practical experiences in the field of DevOps. When we take a closer look at the roles involved in a software project, we can immediately see how the knowledge is not distributed evenly. With central principles of DevOps in mind, for example, collaboration and shared responsibility, software developers without DevOps experience are clearly disadvantaged and therefore limited in their ability to participate in the shaping of the delivery process. Now, how can we tackle this problem? If software developers lack technical and process knowledge, then this should not be the key factor for the design of delivery processes. Instead, we should utilize the available architectural information. This leads us to our first research question. How can we construct delivery models incorporating architectural knowledge? In the following, we will propose a novel modeling approach which focuses on the software architecture and integrates this knowledge explicitly. When we talk about architectural knowledge, then we mainly refer to the architectural components and the artifacts created and used during the delivery process. Let's look at an example where we have a JavaScript front-end and a Spring back-end component. The according delivery processes to build these components are different in their performed activities, in a set of artifacts, and of course the technologies involved. Treating the delivery processes as black boxes, each delivery process of a component takes certain artifacts as input and outputs a resulting artifact. This means the delivery process requires artifacts of certain types in order to build and provide artifacts of other types. In our example here, the delivery process of the front-end component requires a source code repository and provides a JavaScript distribution. This leads to the distinction between two different classes of artifact types, source and target artifact types. The source artifact types are the artifact types that the delivery process of a component expects or requires in order to build and provide the target artifact type. Hereby, we achieve an abstraction as we do not use the artifact names explicitly, but rather their types. We then summarize these information in a so-called delivery unit interface model. Similar to an interface, it specifies what kind of artifact type it requires and what kind of artifact type it provides. In this way, we can model a complete delivery process. Here we have a running example again, extended by a delivery unit that combines front-end and back-end, as well as a delivery unit that dockerizes the resulting application. The starting point is a source code repository artifact, which only provides a specified target artifact. Between the delivery units, we describe artifact reuse relationships. As you can see here, the repository artifact is reused in multiple delivery units. Hereby, the order of delivery subprocesses is implicitly specified. What we achieve with this delivery model is first, a reduction of technical knowledge, as we do not have to know which technologies to involve and how to specify the according activities. Second, we do not have to describe a process, but rather describe how artifacts depend on each other. As you would expect by just modeling source and target artifact types, a delivery system cannot figure out how to automatically carry out the delivery process. However, someone with enough technical and process knowledge would be able to fill the gap with according activities. As we want to avoid including manual tasks in constructing delivery processes, we need to externalize the process and technical knowledge into a knowledge base. For this purpose, we designed an activity registry which can be filled with technical and process knowledge from DevOps experts. In this registry, we specify activities and their input and output artifact types. The activity contains the technical execution environment to perform the artifact transformation. For example, here we have a Maven compile activity, which takes a repository artifact type as input and produces a Java bytecode artifact type, or rather, Java class files. So what we achieve by constructing an activity registry is that we can enrich the architectural information with technical and process knowledge. We can basically compute now what happens between the source and target artifact type. To do so, we apply a search and optimization procedure. We start at a target artifact type and append transformation activities from the activity registry, which have this target artifact type as output. In the course of this backtracking procedure, we construct a graph that represents artifact type dependencies. As this graph contains all possible sequences of activities from source to target artifact type, we apply an optimization procedure to find the shortest sequence within the graph. This is not trivial, as some activities require multiple artifact types as inputs. Therefore, we use integer linear programming with 2 integer linear programs executed one after another. The first one tries to find the shortest sequence, whereas the second tries to ensure a homogeneous use of technologies. For example, when the activity registry contains multiple build tools for Java. As we are defining constraints, it is also possible to make certain activities, like certain security analysis, mandatory. After that, we receive a model, which we simply call delivery unit, as it also contains intermediate artifact types. However, this model can still not be executed by a delivery system. We still need to transform it to an activity-based process model. This leads us to our next research question. How can an architecture-based delivery process model be transformed into an equivalent activity-based delivery process model? This is crucial so that common delivery system can actually execute what we model. To answer this, we designed a model-to-model mapping procedure, which we will describe in the following. We start with our architecture-based delivery model. As each delivery unit interface model is self-contained, we first split our model and focus on each delivery unit interface model independently. Then, based on the information in the activity registry, we perform a backtracking and optimization procedure to derive a suitable and favorably short artifact transformation sequence. After that, we can query the artifact registry for the technical details and construct an activity-based continuous delivery model, as used in Jenkins or GitLab CI. The resulting models for each unit are then combined. Hereby, we use the artifact reuse relationships to construct dependencies between process models. Now let's get back to the core problem on hand. We designed a new delivery process model and this model-to-model mapping procedure to strengthen the position of software developers in the process of modeling a delivery process. Up to now, our hypothesis argues architecture-based modeling is easier for software developers, especially when modeling complex delivery processes. In order to validate this, we performed a small case study with the following research questions in mind. How are architecture-based delivery process models perceived by developers with different levels of continuous delivery experience? Also, is the needed architectural knowledge to create such delivery process models available and sufficient? To investigate this, we carried out a case study with a small group from an industry partner. Hereby, we separated the groups into low and high experienced developers with respect to DevOps knowledge. The groups were trained in creating architecture-based delivery models and were asked to model a delivery model for a familiar software project by themselves. Doing this, we only provided architectural information. Thus, the low experienced group had only the architectural information given. Afterwards, we performed a questionnaire to gain deeper insight into applicability and acceptance. The key results are the following. The first and quite important observation was that the majority of participants constructed correct models. Some models contained minor errors which can be attributed to the short amount of training. What this shows is that the architectural information was indeed enough to model the delivery process, as a low experienced group lacked process and technical knowledge. This also leads us to the feedback we received from the low experienced group. They rated the difficulty of modeling as easy and welcomed our new modeling form, as they struggled to create delivery processes with common process models. This was also exactly what we wanted to achieve, to strengthen their ability to participate in the modeling process. On the other hand, observing the high experienced participants while modeling revealed serious differences in the thought process. The DevOps experts started listing all artifact types that are produced along the delivery process and grouped them to delivery units afterwards, based on architectural components then. In fact, this corresponds to our approach in reverse, which is starting with identified delivery units and then specifying associated artifact types. Hence, this indicates process-based thinking. This brings me then to the end of my presentation. Basically, we looked at 4 major points. First, we established that there are 3 different knowledge areas necessary for modeling delivery processes. Hereby, software developers with only architectural knowledge are clearly disadvantaged. Therefore, we defined an architecture-based way of modeling which reduces the required process and technical knowledge. However, this knowledge is not completely gone, but instead outsourced to an activity registry. With the help of this registry, we can then perform an automatic model-to-model transformation procedure, which in the end provides us with an activity-based delivery model that then can be executed by common delivery systems. Regarding future research, there are multiple opportunities. First, we need to perform additional case studies to further validate our approach. The small study we presented here had a small sample size as we relied on volunteers to invest their working time. Also, the training time was quite short. Next, different optimization criteria can be evaluated. We assumed that the shorter sequence of activities would be favorable. So I'd like to finish this presentation with the conclusion: software architecture provides the essential knowledge for constructing delivery processes. Thanks for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions.